Okay, good morning everyone. I just joked outside. I was like, I've spoken at family dinners that are bigger than this size audience. So thank you everyone for being here. It really means a lot. Welcome. I'd like to acknowledge that we're on the land of the Gweagal clan of the Darawal speaking nation. And it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to our very first Savvy Creative Academy. Woo! It's been the best part of 5 months planning today, and I'm really pleased with how it has all come together. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we start. You may have come through the library or you may have come through the glass doors. The bathrooms are just straight to the back. In the very unlikely event of an emergency, we will exit out the glass doors to the car park there.
I don't think your microphone's working.
Oh, test, test, test. I just need to be a bit closer. Okay. Can you hear me though?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Yeah, better? Okay, great. Lovely. So this is our agenda for today. We've got a lot happening. There are lots of really big topics on this agenda, but everything's going to be high level. It's designed that way so that really to spark your mind about where you're at with all of these things, and then hopefully dive in a little bit deeper to areas that you might be interested in or feel that you're not as strong at. So of course we're starting with me. I'm talking about what the Savvy Creative is all about. We'll have a really tiny break, and then we'll have Blake Jenkins from Count Out Loud Accountants. They're actually our sponsor for today, so thank you very much for doing that. We'll have a tiny break after that, and then at 11 we've got the fantastic Pascal Heliamore. She's amazing. I'll do her whole spiel when she's here, but she's going to be talking about my favourite topic, which is setting yourself up for financial success. Then we'll have morning tea, about half an hour. We'll sort of mingle out there. And then at 12:15, we're going to be doing harnessing marketing fundamentals to get clear on your brand. And that's with the Peppermint Group, their marketing director, Alison Dean. Then we'll have some lunch. We'll see how we're going for time. And then after that, we've got Nat Lynch, who's actually flying up from Melbourne to present this. Yep. And she's going to be talking about a really important topic for freelancers, which is the power of strategy and content for growing your presence online, which we all have to do. Then we're going to have a really exciting panel, and that basically the panel is examples of what I think a savvy creative is. So we've got 3 fantastic people, different industries, really different outlooks, different experiences, and that's going to be What Does Success Look Like with Bianca Zupas, Tahina Tosi McManus, and Ethan Reginato. Then we're going to be finishing up with some structured networking, everyone's favourite thing, and then we're going to finish up at about 4:30. So that's the day. Amazing. So when I talk to people about what the Savvy Creative is, people don't seem to get it. So I just wanted to tell a little story about how we got here. My name is Nell Nacken, and ever since I can remember, I have wanted to be an actor. It's truly been my life's calling. I loved to play pretend as a child. I loved being on the stage, and as I got older, I found myself lost in film and TV shows. I'm going to use these instead, actually. The older I get, the more I feel strongly that stories can change the world. And especially today, in the world we live in, we need art. We need artists and the craft of storytelling to be thriving. Okay. At age 16, I received a substantial inheritance from my maternal grandmother, a whopping $250,000 in 2003, a life-changing amount of money. There was one stipulation: I couldn't access it until I was 25 unless it was for education. I had no idea what a windfall like that could do for my life at that age. So I found some expensive education to spend it on. It seemed like a great idea at the time to exploit the cause of education, and it was as though I was handed a winning lottery ticket. Funds to pursue the dream. How lucky was I? So I spent a summer at NYU and RADA, and then I moved to LA with a big fat bank account at age 21 to attend the full-time program at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. All of these came with a hefty price tag, especially as an international student. I was also restricted as I couldn't earn money on a student visa, so I slowly chipped away at that bank balance. Now, don't get me wrong, I had a brilliant time. I had experiences I will never forget. I spent 3 years focusing on school and theatre. It was absolutely amazing. Just can't believe my luck. After graduation, I landed a great agent. I worked on massive sets. I worked on little sets. I worked with A-list actors. I got paid for my craft. I walked red carpets. I worked at the Oscars. I lived the dream, truly. But the thing is, the reason I was able to do all of that was because I was in a very privileged position with money in my bank account. The other really important factor here is that I wasn't working consistently or saving any money or budgeting, and I really didn't know how to manage my finances. So when the money ran out, I hadn't built good habits. It actually took me a really long time to learn the value of money and to recover financially. I'm not from money, our family is not from money. My regret here, with the benefit of hindsight and as an adult looking back, is that I did not receive one piece of professional advice on what to do with this large amount of money. Now, if I had known what I know now, I would have invested that money, and it still would have allowed me options to move overseas, to, attend school or do whatever I wanted to. But I didn't. I let it sit in a bank account until it disappeared over time. Whereas my siblings, who also received the same amount, both purchased property. I literally ran out of money at a time when all my hard work was paying off. I was set up with a great agent and a top manager. I had built brilliant connections, casting directors knew me, and I had secured my O1 visa, also very expensive. I had a portfolio of work. I was primed, but I had no buffer and no way to earn enough money to live off, and honestly, I panicked. So I moved back home. It was like starting over. It was honestly gut-wrenching. So I got an entry-level job at 26. I got an agent in Australia and continued to audition, although nowhere near at the level that I was at in the US. I worked at a large media company, and one day there was a free lunch and learn, something I had never heard of. I decided to go along. The editor of Money Mag, if you're not familiar, an amazing woman named Effie Zahos, was talking about superannuation and salary sacrifice. Got me thinking, where was my super? Did I have any? Also, at this point, I should mention, I had a credit card debt of about $10,000, which actually wasn't the worst that it was going to get. And that was due to not having any financial literacy and also not earning a lot of money. That's another story. But the point of the talk from Effie was around salary sacrifice and how to catch up on your super for any years out of the workforce. The audience was mainly women, and she was talking about having kids and taking time out. I had a look at my super, which, by the way, there were a couple of accounts floating around, and I think it was about $8,000. Yikes. And this was the beginning of my financial literacy journey. A penny dropped. I had been so focused on making it, following each opportunity in front of me for acting, that I had never stopped to consider building financial sustainability. In all of that expensive theatre school education, I never got one piece of advice on business skills or financial literacy. Fast forward to 2020. Enter the Australian Film, Television and Radio School. For some years I had been feeling like, come on in guys. For some years I had been feeling like I wanted to produce and build something in the screen industry. And so I went along to an AFTRS Open Day in 2019. I spoke to a lecturer, Dr. Gerard Reid, and I told him I was thinking about doing the Masters of Producing. He asked me what I wanted to do in the future, and I told him that I was keen to build a production company. So he suggested I do the Masters of Business and Leadership. I enrolled. The beauty of the course was that it was only 3 days a month, meaning I could continue to work full-time and manage it. It was also substantially cheaper than the Masters of Producing. I was finally going to get my Australia network. And then COVID. Everything went online and, spoiler, I did not build that new network. What I did do was a lot of thinking and reflecting and reading. I read an article in the Sydney Morning Herald about 5 performers that had to leave the industry during COVID, and it reminded me of how I felt I had to give up acting due to lack of financial literacy. Amanda Harrison was Australia's first Elphaba in Wicked, one of the hottest roles in musical theatre, one of its most sought-after talent, a West End regular. In the article, they talk about Harrison sobbing over Zoom from her Melbourne bedroom as she explains why she gave up auditions and retrained as a real estate agent. We've got 2 kids, I've got a teenage daughter, they just eat a lot, you know what I mean? She watches the other agents, their joy and passion in listing a property, in selling it. She wishes that she could share that. But, this is her quote, "But this does not feel anything like the major moments I've had in my life. I've sung on the Opera House stage. I've sung at Carnegie Hall. I was effing Elphaba in Wicked." And I think, wow, am I ever going to be able to feel that again? And it's very, very sad. In an inquiry for the impact of COVID-19 on the arts sector undertaken by the Parliament of Australia, it was pretty clear that the pandemic was devastating for workers in the creative industries. An idea sparked for my capstone project at Actors. I wanted to see if actors had good financial literacy, did they have a better chance at longevity in their careers? In other words, could strong personal finance skills indicate a better chance for artists to ride the ebbs and flows of gig economy work? So these are a few slides from that capstone presentation. I wanted to see if there was correlation between having financial and business skills and longevity in a creative career. I wanted to identify the barriers in Australia, assess the impact of the pandemic, and conduct market research on a product called the Savvy Creative. I wanted to ask the question, how might we encourage early career creatives? Turns out, in my small pool of 52 respondents, there is a direct correlation between longevity and strong financial literacy. I found when speaking to actors who had hung in there for more than 10 years, they had become entrepreneurial about their skill set and had created multiple revenue streams, just like the 3 guests that we have on our panel later today. When I started to have these conversations with people, I heard similar stories over and over, which I'm sure we've all heard. People leaving the industry at a certain age due to work drying up, perhaps, them not having any skills to fall back on or other skills to fall back on, not having a lot of super, having really poor mental health. The other common theme was non-creatives assume that it's a passion and not a legitimate career choice, something I love to debate people on. But I'm asking the question, why can't creative people also learn how to promote themselves, have a strategy in place, be disciplined about marketing their work, run themselves like a business? Because as a freelancer, you are. The Savvy Creative was born. So I knew I wanted to make an impact, but I just wasn't sure how to do it. I started teaching this content at Afters to the newer cohorts and found it resonating. My area of expertise was on marketing, because at this stage that's what I had been doing. But I realised the other areas needed to be taught as well. So I brought in experts from other industries. Bit by bit, we have built the Savvy Creative platform with a suite of resources in the works for creatives. Today marks the relaunch of the Savvy Creative and introduces our 4 pillars. Events like the one today, we aim to do this biannually. The podcast, which is actually launching in early May. We've recorded 4 episodes, very exciting. This gives you access to top experts in their fields when talking about things, all things business for your creative career. The community, this is peer-based learning and sharing resources and information. And finally, our accountability club. a group to hold you accountable for your weekly goals in what can sometimes be a lonely profession. My vision for the future would be a commercially minded collective of artists and creatives who are savvy in their approaches to work and opportunity. Think a conference like South by Southwest, but especially for these topics for artists, and that is where you guys come in. Tell us what you want to learn about. There's no topic too small, there's no topic too big. We really just want to hear what are those things that you know nothing about and you can't find anywhere else. So enjoy today. Like, follow, subscribe. We're on Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, etc. If you do any filming today, please tag us as well. And follow along for the journey. I'm an open book, as you can tell. And I really want to share what it looks like and what we're learning along the way. Thanks.